I'm regularly talking to people that will be co-investors with me when the time comes, and they know what I'm planning to do. And that's always something that I find funny with business people. They have a tendency, and particularly real estate investors, new ones, they have a tendency to not want to talk to people about what they're doing. I talk to everybody I know about what I'm doing now, what I anticipate doing, and certainly gauge their interest in investing when I think an opportunity is right.
Hello and welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it. Are you ready to start investing in real estate today but don't know where to start? Sometimes investing can seem way too complicated, but it actually couldn't be any easier than with homeinvest.com. You know the co-founder and my friend Nate Armstrong. He appeared on episode 20, and if you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it, episode number 20. Home Invest is a company that allows you to invest in turnkey real estate. Their goal is to build powerful investment tools that make real estate investing accessible to everyone. They have contractors and property managers available for you with the click of your mouse. While other real estate agents can only offer a property, Home Invest brings you a full turnkey package that allows you to diversify your investments, earn passive income, and start building equity in properties. Their simple, intuitive design allows newcomers and experienced investors alike to hit the ground running and to be able to choose the properties when they want and where they want. View easy to understand charts and data to allow you to buy in only a few clicks or just a simple phone call. With Home Invest, you'll be building your portfolio as quickly or as slowly as you would like. And right now, Home Invest is giving our listeners, Pillar of Wealth Creation listeners, a free course on how to finally win in real estate investing. So go to homeinvest.com/pillars. That's homeinvest.com/pillars to claim your free course today. Hey, welcome back to Pillars of Wealth Creation. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. With me today, I've got Eric Jacobs. Eric, how are you doing today?
Good, Todd. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you joining me. So a little bit about Eric. He's a successful businessman, attorney, and also does some real estate and business strategy coaching as well. Living in the Fort Lauderdale area and doing some investing in real estate, kind of everything. So, Eric, why don't you give our listeners a little bit more about your background and kind of what your main focus today is?
Sure, thanks. It's kind of a windy road. I became a realtor, hurts to say this out loud, about 26 years ago now. I did that when I was in college and liked it. When I went to college, I studied business and then went to law school. I got a law degree and an MBA, and I had to decide whether I was going to be a lawyer or a business person. Candidly, they were paying young litigators back then a lot more than they're paying middle managers. So with 170,000 in school loans back then, made my decision easy, and I became a litigator. While I was doing that, I was flipping real estate, got involved in investing. And I found that fired me up a lot more than anything else. And I smelled something in the market in around 2001. So I opened up a title company. That title company very quickly became so busy that I opened up a real estate brokerage as well. And so the brokerage and the title company worked hand in hand. I kept the law firm going. And I kind of did all three. So it gave me the benefit of being both a businessman and a lawyer and an investor. 2008 rolled around, and luckily, well, I should say, I'd sold the brokerage in 2006 to a big regional concern, thank God. 2008 rolled around, title slowed down, and my focus diverted back to litigation. And again, really hard money and that sort of thing. Now, these days, I sold my title company a year ago to a Fortune 500 company. I've stayed on as president. I'm adjusting to mega corporate world. Luckily, I have a great team that I'm working with, and the guys that I work with at corporate are terrific. So I'm really enjoying it. At the same time, I'm doing investing, And I've kind of discovered that I really enjoy the counseling part of what I was doing for a while as a lawyer. And I'm now interested in coaching investors because I seem to come across the same sort of lies that they tell themselves over and over again as a reason not to do stuff, and the same reasons over and over again why they can't seem to get out of their own way. So I actually was talking to a very successful friend of mine who sold his real estate related company about 10 years ago for $5.5 billion. And
Wow.
him and I were talking, and he said, you know what, why don't you get into, he said consulting, but basically what he meant was coaching. And as I looked into it, I thought, this sounds like something I'd really like. I've worked with a coach myself and got a lot of value from it. And so now I'm hoping to be able to bring value to other people.
Awesome. Awesome. Tell me, uh, so you built this title company and brokerage. It sounds like both instances you were able to sell to larger companies. What did you do that allowed you to build those to be able to be bought out by these larger companies?
Well, I think, you know, I guess what you can say is in common about both of them, you could say about any business. And it's really all about a system and about having something that a bigger company can look at and go, okay, we're bigger. We can take that and bolt it onto our existing platform or whatever it is that they have. And as long as that system is repeatable, it has value. If you
Hmm.
have a business that is not repeatable, which is what unfortunately most businesses, particularly um, service businesses, are, you know, it has no real value. So if you're a one-man show as a, I don't know, let's just call it a wholesaler, and you haven't built systems, your business is really just a job. You just happen to work for you. If you are a wholesaler and you built systems, now your business has value separate and apart from you. And there's always somebody who wants to buy something that they think they can make bigger or better, or that they can just absorb the earnings into their own. And that's basically what I did.
Yeah, good points there. I mean, you said it right. Is that most people are building businesses just basically they're building a job, and nobody else can really take it over easily and just repeat their process. But if somebody can actually just take it over and continue the ball rolling easily, then you've created something of value.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of small business people don't think about, and it's understandable how it happens because it happened to me when I went out on my own for the first time. You open the doors and now it's just you. So
Yeah.
you're just thinking about, okay, I'm gonna lick this envelope and I'm gonna fill out this, bank entry in QuickBooks, and I'm gonna provide the service. And then you get busy, so you hire one assistant or two assistants or 10 assistants, and you forget that what you were supposed to be doing is building a business. And the reason for that really is because you never had a system in mind. You were just going. And I think if you start out kind of looking at it backwards, you start out thinking, I'm going to sell this business. What does it have to do? What does it have to look like to bring value to somebody who's going to want to buy it? I think you go through the same process, right? You're still going to lick envelopes in the beginning. You're not going to staff up before you have the business, but you do it with a completely different mindset. I think that's what distinguishes people who can build and scale businesses from people that don't.
I don't know if I've ever heard it quite like that before. I think that's really valuable what you are very valuable what you just said. I know it is. Starting with the end in mind, starting that business and knowing, like you said, you're still going to lick the envelopes when you start. You're still going to be doing everything. Eventually, you're going to hire somebody, but knowing what your vision is for that business from the start and then working your way backwards is going to help avoid a lot of those pain points and going to allow you to be set up for the future a lot more. So I really do think that's extremely valuable. Most people, I doubt that most people take the time to think like that. I know they don't.
It's hard. It's
Yeah.
you're trying to make a living, and look, we're all busy, but I think that people when they're first starting out, it's almost like they've discovered busy for the first time, and they don't they get used to being in that employee mentality and working in their business, and it requires conscious effort and it's hard. Look, even in my businesses now, I always joke that I give better advice than I follow. Um, every day I come across things that I'm doing that I look at, and I just shake my head. I'm like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
I really should be having, in my case, somebody else doing it. Maybe I should have my accountant be doing this or whatever it is. So I do it too, even now, but I'm constantly aware of it, and I'm constantly trying to offboard things because my objective is to be the absolute least important person in my office. My staff jokes that they're all excited when I'm leaving. They don't know how happy that makes me. I love to see the business run great when I'm not there. I think that's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, you mentioned you sold your real estate brokerage in 2006, I think, or maybe you
Yeah,
said
yeah,
seven.
yeah. Six.
Um, did you see the writing on the wall, or was it just a good time to sell?
No, it wasn't a particularly good time to sell. Um, I I remember the particular closing that was the tipping point for me. I was actually sitting down as a title agent doing the closing, and a guy came in to do the closing, and I was going through all the documents with him. And I looked at the loan size, and it was something like $2.2 million, and it was a single family home, and he was going to live in it. And when you do a loan closing, one of the things that you also get is what's called a 1003, the loan application. And I looked at his loan application, and he made a fraction of what I was making, and I didn't have a $2.2 million house then. And
Hmm.
I kind of looked down at it, and I looked up at him, and I said, "What are you planning to do with this?" He's like, "Oh, I'm going to live in it." And he had a negative arm, basically renting by another name. Um, and it was literally at that moment that it hit me that something was wrong. I went home that night and was exploring shorting bank stocks and looking at how to do that. Back in my business school days, that had been an area of interest to me. Candidly, I got a little lazy and distracted, so I probably would kind of wish I had done more of that. Um, but right around that time, I got approached by this regional company, and we sat down, and they said something to the effect of they see blue skies for as far as the eye can see. And they offered to buy me out literally before they'd gotten up. I said yes and shook their hand. A little bit of luck involved because I couldn't have known when, but
Yeah.
I smelled something coming.
So why did you sell that business but not your title company?
The title company is kind of it was really benefiting my law firm.
Sure.
And so having both the title company and the law firm really dovetail nicely. And while the brokerage does too, and you could say, well, why would you unload your brokerage? The reality is the real estate brokerage model is challenging unless you are really, really at scale. And I mean huge. Like the idea of a small brokerage these days, to me, I challenge anybody to show me how the math works, unless the broker in the office is a working broker just hiring agents to pay the bills. So it's not like the brokerage was ever that profitable. Um, the reality was I was giving very high splits to agents, so it was easy to unload that one. Title company was very, very profitable, and it was a good business that complemented the law firm. So I didn't want to get rid of that. I suppose in hindsight, if somebody had come and offered me a premium, I probably would have, which eventually, as I mentioned, I did many, many years later. But at the time, I had no real interest, and nobody came knocking.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you watch the movie The Big Short?
I did, and walked out with my wife and told her, that could have been me.
Could have
I
been
knew I
me.
was right. And she's like, yeah, well,
Yeah,
what ideas are
sure,
worth
sure.
nothing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. But no, it's very telling of everything that kind of went on that story. I'm sure there's a lot of people that would tell that almost that exact same story.
Yeah.
Um, uh, this is kind of a off topic of what I plan on talking about. But since you mentioned kind of that story, what do you see in today's market that's either different or the same as back then?
Well, back then, I wasn't really looking at markets outside of my immediate area.
Sure.
So I certainly did not anticipate the tidal wave that was that, because I really wasn't thinking about it, right? I was very hyper focused on my area. Now I do look at a lot of different markets, and I think I've come to a real appreciation that I think the answer to that question depends entirely on what market you're talking about.
Yeah.
Addressing the South Florida market, Miami and that sort of area, I, all the signs are that there's going to be some kind of a pullback. I don't spend a moment thinking it's going to look anything remotely like what we had, um, the end of the world. Um, to me, candidly, I think it might be some opportunity. But the reality is the Fed has distorted the market so much. There's so much money sloshing around out there
Mm-hmm.
that, it's possible that this will continue largely unabated. I think you'll see sort of a normal recession. And I think we're kind of ripe for that. We've had a long period of time of sustained growth. If I had to guess, I think in the next couple of years, we'll see a little bit of a pullback. But if it was me, and it's going to be, that's going to be time to be, hauling ass in and buying everything you can get your hands on.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you doing right now to be able to prepare yourself for that?
Well, I do hard money lending because
Yep.
that's fairly quick in, quick out. It's a nice return without the brain damage.
Sure.
And honestly, I'm largely being patient, which hurts, but
Yeah.
I'm not a naturally patient person. I do look at some other markets that are of interest to me, but I want to make sure that I've got a stockpile of cash. I'm regularly talking to people that will be co-investors with me when the time comes, and they know what I'm planning to do. And that's always something that I find funny with business people. They have a tendency, and particularly real estate investors, new ones, they have a tendency to not want to talk to people about what they're doing. I talk to everybody I know about what I'm doing now, what I anticipate doing, and certainly gauge their interest in investing when I think an opportunity's right.
Yeah, and I think that's extremely valuable because especially people that are new to the business or really anybody, if you just walk around like a ghost, when that time does come and you want investors, you don't have any because you didn't spend any time. So now, while the time is ripe, and especially if we don't have, if we get another 2008 size recession again, well, you're going to have ample opportunity and ample time. But if you have a slower or a lighter recession, it's going to be, just a few years, if that, where the opportunity is right for purchasing at discounts. And you're doing the right thing by talking about it, by piquing people's interest and getting them. And I think the other point too, I really like is the patience. I talk to so many people that want to get into real estate investing or want to get into business, and they want to do it right now. And I always try to preach the same thing: patience, patience, patience is really important. I mean, eventually you do have to take action, right? But now's a great time to be learning and growing and looking for opportunities because they're still around, but being very patient and being very selective about those opportunities as well.
Yep.
So, let's just kind of keep going on the business. I like, you've got a pretty good business background. So let's talk about, what kind of advice would you give my listeners to building and operating a business successfully?
Oh, I think, where I like to start with people, and it often kind of catches them off guard, is I often like to ask them to explain to me exactly what their plan is.
Hmm.
And I think it's surprising how often that is a difficult thing for someone to answer. And I think when they struggle to answer it, normally somebody will give you some answer, but it doesn't take long of fumbling when both me and them know that there really is no plan.
There isn't a plan.
And so I think that helps to illuminate the fact that, there's a saying that if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. And I think that that's very true of a lot of investors, business people. You mentioned before about investors that are all excited to get going. And so what do? They jump on LoopNet, and they think in 5 minutes they find a property, and And if the numbers don't work, well, they just erase one and maybe vacancy won't be 8%. Maybe it'll be 3%. Oh, look, the numbers work. Um, it just doesn't work that way. So I think everything has to begin with a plan, and then you need criteria. And this is whether you're business or you're buying a building or whatever it is. And I'm sure you probably have this in what you do. You need criteria, because when an opportunity comes up, and I know I could say for myself, and I'm a fairly dispassionate guy, I get excited. I get excited whether I like the area or the numbers look good or I think I'm onto something, or I hear that there's some, opportunities come up, and that excitement clouds everyone's judgment.
Yep.
So
Yep.
if you have a plan and you have a criteria, you get your excitement tempered by looking down at your criteria and go, does this check the boxes, yes or no? And I think that's usually a good place to start, to get yourself on the road to actually building something and not just gambling. Because if you want to gamble, real estate sucks for that. Baccarat, your odds are about 50-50. So you might as well go to the casino, and you're going to know really quick if you were right or wrong. You put everything you own in baccarat in one hand or whatever, and you'll know very quickly if you were right or wrong. I don't like to gamble. To me, the rule number one of real estate investing, particularly if you have other investors, is a preservation of capital. And
Mm-hmm.
if you cannot get those returns, then move on and go find somewhere that you can.
Yeah, no, great advice. Great advice. Um, Having a plan too is it's going to help you avoid that shiny object.
Right.
So it's easy to get distracted if you don't know what you get. Like you said, if you don't know where you're going, you can take any road.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. What's one of your biggest failures, or maybe a recent failure, and how did you learn and grow from
Been so many.
it?
All right. So talk about shiny object syndrome. My favorite of my missteps, somebody who's very close to me, this is several years ago, had identified a real estate, air quotes, investment in the Bahamas. Sent it over to me to take a look at it. It's a condo project. It was just a one-off unit, but they were pricey, but the community was spectacular. I looked at it, for him as an investment, and put on my MBA hat, put on my lawyer hat, scrutinized the numbers, and it was a ridiculous investment. Just made no sense at all. He went ahead and bought it anyway. He invited me and my wife and my family to Bahamas to come take a look at it and enjoy a weekend. We did, and then I bought one too. So luckily, I was one of the first guys out, so I didn't lose as much as some did, and I got I sold his unit as well. But to this day, my kids ask me when we're going to go back there, and I tell them never. A lot of daddy's money died there. So, certainly didn't meet the criteria. I let the enjoyment factor and the family pull me into rationalizing all the reasons why this really stupid investment was going to work out just fine, and it didn't, and shouldn't have.
Yeah, yeah. You knew better from the start, but
Yep.
the cake was too tempting.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. So someone trying to get to that next level, trying to get to where you're at and beyond, what does it take? Maybe give us 2 or 3 things. What in your mind does it take to get to there?
Well, I think the most important thing is to, as I've mentioned kind of thematically, is to get an idea of what it is that you want. And by that, I mean, think big.
Yeah.
I don't, one of the first things that I try to push out of somebody's head when I'm talking to them is when people tell me, well, I just want to make money, or I just want to be wealthy, or I just want to whatever. money is a tool. It's an instrument that inherently only has the value we all agree it does. It otherwise doesn't really mean anything. It's like saying I want a house, but what I really want is a hammer. You have it backwards. You want the money for a reason. And I think people often say that because they're trying to find an excuse for doing the intellectual heavy lifting of figuring out what really matters to them. So I think you have to figure out in big, broad terms what it is that you want. And then it's valuable, the energy to that goal, the fuel that'll get you there, if you will, is why you want it. You know, in my case, I like to spend time with my family. I like to be with them a lot. I enjoy working. I love building organizations, but I would never thrive in a traditional working environment because I'm a big boy. I know what I have to do. And when I can go on a vacation, I'm going to go. If I want to jump in the pool at 2 in the afternoon, I'm going to jump in the pool at 2 in the afternoon. If I need to take a call at 9 at night, I'll take a call at 9 at night. I don't do work life, business life, work life, personal life separation. I have one life. And so I've constructed my life to this point so that I can do what matters to me and for the reason that matters to me. And then comes the overwhelming factor, right? So somebody's figured out what they want. They believe they know why they want it. And then at 2 o'clock in the morning, they wake up and start Googling stuff. And it all becomes so overwhelming that they end up doing nothing and go back to work the next day and explain to the next person who will listen the 12 great reasons why they won't do it. So I think you need to have a system for breaking down how you're going to get where you want to get. And I think you do that by breaking it down into small steps and then taking those small steps and breaking them down into small steps. And it sounds crazy, but before you know it, you may have a list of 10 things or 100 things or 1,000 things. But then it comes time to start knocking those things down. And when you knock those things down, you're not just doing stuff, you're doing stuff in furtherance of your goal and what matters the most to you. So I think that sort of little planning exercise is what most people don't do. And if somebody wants to get to the next level, I'd suggest you're either going to get lucky, you'll work yourself to death because I understand that's effective sometimes to do it too, or you can plan your way into it. And I'm just a bit of a planner.
Yeah, no, great. I like I hear so much now about that, the work-life balance, and doing that. And I love your quote, I have one life.
Yeah.
And it's so true. If you enjoy what you do and you're not a slave to it, you should be able to, your business should be able to be a part of your life.
Yeah.
And you don't need two lives just to enjoy your life.
Right.
So I like that a lot. I hear it, like I hear it every day, people talking about this work-life balance, and it's like, just enjoy your life.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to interrupt this episode real quick to talk to you about Nate Armstrong, our sponsor, Nate Armstrong. He's with homeinvest.com, and you want to get to know Nate. So go to homeinvest.com and just connect with Nate, talk to him, learn about his operation, what he's got going on. He's a turnkey provider, and it may not be right for you, but it could be the perfect fit. So it doesn't hurt. It's a free call, consultation, just to figure out, what they do, what they have to offer. And worst case is you're going to meet a great person who's really well educated in real estate. He's done a ton of different real estate strategies, and probably he's going to teach you a little bit, even on a short conversation with him. So go to homeinvest.com and connect with Nate's company. You're definitely not going to be disappointed. It's worth it. So thanks, and we'll get back to our show. What's your goals moving forward? You've got this consulting, coaching business. Maybe talk a little bit about that, and then kind of where you're going.
Yeah, I mean, look, my primary gig, if you will, I got bought by a really big company that I have an enormous amount of respect for, and I owe it to them to do my best. And that's my kind of primary directive, if you will. And we're expanding the brand, and have some pretty ambitious plans for it. And I'm pretty optimistic, and I'm enjoying the hell out of it. So there's that. Um, I have my law practice. I've become much more selective about the clients that I take, and have kind of a niche of who I like to work with. And I'm fortunate that I don't take just everybody. I don't do what they call door law, whatever comes in the door. Um, I'm going to continue investing when I see an opportunity that makes sense, and continue lending hard money, candidly, until I see an opportunity that makes sense. And I'd like to try to expand this coaching thing and share some of my experiences, and really bring what has helped me most in my life, and that's bring accountability to investors. I mean, I don't know if I can say this on your podcast, I'm kind of a no bullshit guy. And if I work with somebody, that's kind of the commitment that we have to have between us is,
Yep.
if you want to make up excuses why things don't work, go tell your wife, go tell your boss, go tell somebody else. I don't want to hear it. I've seen people who are worse off than whoever I could possibly be working with. I've seen people build things from nothing. I have a very close friend of mine started a company from zero and just sold it for $500 million. So, I don't really do excuses real well. We are where we are. And I'd like to see if I can bring value to people and help them, because, nobody wants to hire a lawyer. So I've spent a big part of my career with nobody being really excited to come in my door. And I've found that this coaching and counseling puts a smile on my face, makes me happy, and I get paid for it. But I have a limited bandwidth, so I don't take an unlimited number of people. I don't have the ability to, because of my other responsibilities. But to the extent that I've taken people on and worked with them, I really enjoy it. I'd like to do at least as much of it as I can.
Cool. Um, what's a favorite book what's a favorite book that you've been reading either now or have read fairly recently?
Unrelated to real estate, I really like Blue Oceans. It's a business book, and basically the concept is, just for anybody, I think it's called Blue Ocean. I think it's called Blue Ocean Strategy, and basically it's about finding a niche or something where you don't have a lot of competitive pressure. Um, my my best small business entrepreneurial book, a book that I've read, skimmed through, leafed through, given out, um, and I would consider to be an absolutely essential book, is the E-Myth.
Yeah.
Um, about the myth of entrepreneurship and the difference between working in a business and on a business. It's not rocket science, and it's not a very tough read of a book. But if you read that and really absorb it, you're going to be vastly ahead of any competitors you're working against.
Yep. Yep. I agree. It's a great book. Um, Last question before we wrap up. What are your three pillars of wealth creation?
Okay. First is your network. I think you will become who you hang out with. That's just a reality. So I think you need to build and cultivate the network of where you want to be. And that doesn't mean being fake, quite the contrary, because people see right through that.
Okay.
But you need to go around people that are doing what it is that you want to do. And then you need to be really honest with them. Oh, I'm not doing it, but I want to. I'm doing it a little. I'd like to do it more.
Yeah.
And, don't ask for stuff, bring value. I think, secondly, is get really comfortable with failing. And when you're going to fail, fail fast. Um, failing is an essential part of progress. If you're never failing, you're really not doing very much. I'm sure of it. So learn to embrace it, just fail fast. And I guess the third pillar, um, wealth, is to constantly be improving. And, that means reading and podcasts and coaching and doing whatever it is. And don't listen to the people that'll tell you not to do it, or tell you it's a waste of time, or explain the 25 reasons why you shouldn't do something. If this is what you want to do and you know why you're doing it, just do it. And, the ideas are a dime a dozen. The difference between success and failure is execution. So, I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this whole interview has been very helpful. Tons of great information from you, so I appreciate it. Everything
Pleasure.
you've shared. Well, how can our listeners get in touch with you and learn more or learn about your coaching or just have a chat with you?
Well, I'd love for them to go to my website, ericjacobsconsulting.com. It tells you a little bit about me. It's definitely in my voice. So if you look through it and you think that that sounds like somebody you want to reach out to, just shoot me an email, eric@ericjacobsconsulting.com. And I'm very happy to get back to you. And if it makes sense for us to work together, I'd be happy to do that.
Awesome. Well, Eric, again, I really appreciate you coming on the show, taking time out of your day, and I think it's been a ton of value for the listeners.
Pleasure is mine, Todd. Really nice to know you.
Yeah. Have a good rest of the day.
You too, buddy. Bye-bye.
Hey, special thanks to Eric Jacobs for joining us on the show. Appreciate him spending valuable time with us and sharing some awesome tips. So a couple things I took from this episode. First of all, make sure you have a system in place and that it's repeatable, that you can continue to grow your business using that system. So that's first, number one. Second thing, he talked about have and know your plan. Make sure you're thinking big too. Break down the steps into smaller and smaller steps. And then the last thing is start out backwards to make your business. So know where you want to be, know your end result, and then work back to how to start that and what systems, what processes, and what you need to do to get you there. So again, special thanks to Eric Jacobs. Thanks for joining us. And a couple things for me is go on to our Facebook page if you haven't already. And, you can have conversations with us there. Definitely join us and talk to us about what you've got going on, what you want to talk about on this show. We'd love to definitely cater this towards our audience. So if you've got anything you want us to talk about, if you got any people you want us to talk to, we'd love that. Also, if you haven't gone onto iTunes yet, if you haven't given us a rating and review, we'd love that as well. Hopefully you give us a 5-star rating review. But if you haven't done so, do so now. That would be awesome as well. I am Todd Dexter. I'm signing out. And hey, make every day a Saturday. Are you ready to start investing in real estate today, but don't know where to start? Sometimes investing can seem way too complicated, but it actually couldn't be any easier than with homeinvest.com. You know the co-founder and my friend Nate Armstrong. He appeared on episode 20, and if you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it, episode number 20. Home Invest is a company that allows you to invest in turnkey real estate. Their goal is to build powerful investment tools that make real estate investing accessible to everyone. They have contractors and property managers available for you with the click of your mouse. While other real estate agents can only offer a property, Home Invest brings you a full turnkey package that allows you to diversify your investments, earn passive income, and start building equity in properties. Their simple, intuitive design allows newcomers and experienced investors alike to hit the ground running and to be able to choose the properties when they want and where they want. View easy to understand charts and data to allow you to buy in only a few clicks or just a simple phone call. With Home Invest, you'll be building your portfolio as quickly or as slowly as you would like. And right now, Home Invest is giving our listeners, Pillar of Wealth Creation listeners, a free course on how to finally win in real estate investing. So go to homeinvest.com/pillars. That's homeinvest.com/pillars to claim your free course today.